Who's the most promising player in the WNBA? Caitlin Clark. Who's the most famous person in her phone contacts? Angel Reese.
Oh, you have tickets to the latest WNBA games? Angel Reese supporters are suddenly going wild after Kamilla Cardoso said that Caitlin Clark is the league's most promising player. The dynamics of the whole league are being upended by this audacious remark. The drama is so intense because it has several levels. Angel Reese, Cardoso's co-star, has been battling to steer the plot from the beginning. Cardoso responded to the swift criticism by tweeting, "I might tell a joke, but I'll never lie." It was doubling down, not damage control. Underlying tensions are shown during the WNBA players' chess match.
She's just answered a question that will have the entire Chicago Sky team or fan base turning on her, because they are wild. That's the best word I use to describe the Angel Reese fan base.
Let's begin with the fundamentals. On the Chicago Sky, Cardoso and Reese worked together as colleagues. In many respects, everyone thought they were on the same side. The unspoken rule was obvious. Would they not organize to fight Clark? These things operate that way. The Detroit Pistons' infamous refusal to give Michael Jordan any credit during their difficult games in the late 1980s is evidence that team loyalty always comes first when there is a true rivalry going on. In contrast to what supporters might anticipate, Cardoso's decision demonstrates a purposeful strategic change. When questioned on NBA Brazil's Instagram, she chooses Caitlin Clark as the league's most promising player apart from herself, not her teammate Angel Reese. No other league star, that is. She chooses the colleague with whom she has the most complex connection.
A jogadora mais promissora da liga tirando você.
Caitlin Clark.
Okay, that was her answer. Angel Reese fans they're punching air now.
Since Reese has established herself as the face of the Chicago Sky, the team chemistry is in jeopardy. It's similar to a chess master giving up a piece to seize control of the center of the board. According to Cardoso, "I know who my teammate is, but I also know who the future of this league is." The timing is perfect. This occurs at a time when Clark, Reese, and the other actor are becoming more competitive. Supporters are taking sides. The media is fueling the flames. And this story should serve as a reminder to all women's basketball players. Additionally, Cardoso openly supports Clark's aptitude at a pivotal moment.
A Chicago Sky teammate answered the question, who is the most promising player in the WNBA? The Chicago Sky player said Caitlin Clark. She didn't really hesitate. Caitlin Clark was the answer.
Cardoso has many choices. To keep the locker room peaceful, she might have just named Reese, politely recognized other talented players, or promoted anybody else. Rather, she made a statement that is truly telling. The media responded immediately, with headlines implying that Cardoso broke ranks and changed sides. As social media erupted with conflicting opinions, sports commentators seized on this topic.
And it's like, it is two sides of the same coin. The Angel Reese fan base versus the Caitlin Crazies. Like, they are two sides of the same coin, but they're not going to be happy with this.
But part of this approach is supporting Clark, who is giving the league unparalleled visibility. Today, Cardoso places herself next to the biggest names in women's basketball. With Clark at its core, the WNBA is seeing a spectacular increase in popularity. Cardoso contributes to the discussion by praising Clark's abilities. This is a really intelligent strategy. She presents herself as someone who recognizes brilliance when she sees it and rises above rivalries. She comes out as fair, honest, and more concerned with basketball than drama. This honesty resonates with fans. In a competition where picking a side has grown commonplace, Cardoso's readiness to back her colleagues' opponents stands out at a time when rivalries sometimes seem fabricated.
By the way, she was asked, all right, who is the most famous person in her contact list on her phone? Angel Reese was her answer. Had nothing to do with basketball whatsoever. That literally proves my point.
Did Cardoso's actions during the same interview stand out to you in particular? She said that Angel Reese was the most well-known individual in her network when questioned. That's when the intriguing part begins. This wasn't your average query and response. Cardoso's flawless 1-2 punch is the buzz of the town. Let's examine what happened. Cardoso identifies Angel Reese as the most well-known person in her network after praising Caitlin Clark as the league's most promising prospect. Cardoso struck the ideal balance by classifying each participant into two unique groups, much like a split screen that shows two different features.
A pessoa mais famosa que você tem nos seus.
And then obviously asked who the most famous person in her contact list was. Said Angel Reese, which probably could be very well be true. Could very well be true, I would assume. It depends on whether or not she has Caitlin Clark in her phone book, but either way, in terms of...
This distinguishes the players from each other. According to Clark, Reese is well known. In a single phrase, fame and celebrity status are exalted. The other focuses on future potential and basketball skill. Every player was able to be moved to a different lane by Cardoso. This difference goes straight to the center of the conflicts that fans have been having. Is Caitlin Clark the better basketball player, and Angel Reese just a media personality? Since college, that discussion has continued. In addition to her insightful comments, Cardoso, who performs with Reese daily, has now raised the conversation.
But she was in fact asked a very obvious question, which has a very obvious answer. Like, we can be real here. We can be real. She answered a very obvious question. She answered what she was asked with whatever the most...
Cardoso's responses seem to be purposefully varied. Clark is deserving of recognition for her aptitude and promise. Ree's fame and connections are recognized. For Ree, who has always pushed for respect as a brilliant athlete rather than merely a celebrity, this must be quite upsetting. She wants her defensive skills and double-doubles to be admired. However, it seems that the classification she has been disputing is supported by her own colleague.
Oh man, the Chicago Slows are not going to like this one bit. They are not. They're...
Cardoso's remarks together imply that Clark is the future and Ree is well known. She created a structure that recognizes both participants, but for essentially different reasons, without ever saying those words outright.
Angel Reese is much closer to being a content creator, a C-list, D-list celebrity than she is to being an actual...
Cardoso's reputation lends weight to these evaluations. As a collegiate and professional athlete, she has faced up against females. She talks from personal experience, so when she draws these differences, people pay attention.
I can't really see any reason why somebody would necessarily say that Kamilla Cardoso is wrong with what she's saying, because for me, it's almost as good as being fact what she is saying right now. Let's be real. It's not far off being a literal fact that the best young player...
The response was instantaneous on social media. Within hours, Cardoso's words were being examined by fans, and hashtags like #Team Clark and Ree were well known. Whether this was a deliberate insult to her teammate or just a direct evaluation that unintentionally exposed how players throughout the league saw this rivalry, the comments were many. For basketball aficionados, Cardoso's two remarks constitute a kind of Rorschach test. It shows what each person wants to see. Some see it as evidence that Clark's basketball skills outweigh Reese's star power, while others view it as Cardoso meticulously recognizing both players' skills without drawing any comparisons.
Again, Caitlin Clark put up stats that if she put them up in NCAA, she might have won National Player of the Year. And she did it in the freaking WNBA.
What do the majority of athletes do when they receive unfavorable comments on social media? They usually explain and walk it back with statements like, "Throughout the whole incident, my comments were taken out of context." However, Kamilla Cardoso took the exact opposite approach, which radically altered the narrative. Following the unexpected interview, in which Cardoso referred to Caitlin Clark as the most promising player, Angel Reese supporters were incensed on social media. As everyone awaited Cardoso's inevitable, PR-friendly response, tension quickly escalated. Then came a major turning point in the growing controversy and a moment of astonishment. On April 30th, Cardoso tweeted, "I may joke, but I'll never lie. That's not a retreat, it's a doubling down." In essence, she affirmed that, despite being teammates with Ree, she genuinely believes Clark has the most potential. This wasn't a calculated move for damage control. Cardoso stood firm, fully aware it might deepen the rift between her and Ree.
I might tell you a joke, but I'll never tell you a lie. Go Sky. But She was in fact asked a very obvious question which has a very obvious answer. Like, we can be real.
In a high-stakes game, her tweet is comparable to a flawless chess move. It puts detractors in an unwinnable position. Respond to her tweet, and you're essentially asking her to lie. Stay silent, and you're implicitly agreeing that Clark is superior to Ree. Cardoso skillfully reframed the entire discussion. With a single tweet, she flipped the balance of power. Rather than being seen merely as part of Reese's supporting cast, Cardoso established herself as an independent voice with her own perspective on the Chicago Sky. She essentially said, "I play with Angel, but I form my own opinions about talent in this league."
Despite their iconic battles on the court, there's clearly no bad blood between Clark and Cardoso. I got to tell you, a lot of her fans, and we're going to see that in this when we look at the video response, they want her on the field.
For Ree, who has been carefully managing the controversy surrounding her game and the constant comparisons to Clark, the timing couldn't be worse. Her WNBA reputation has been shaped by every interview and social media post she's made. Now, her own teammate reverses that narrative with a single candid evaluation and a follow-up tweet. This moment carries even more weight given the current climate. This isn't happening during a quiet WNBA offseason. The league is experiencing unprecedented popularity with record-breaking viewership and skyrocketing social engagement. More eyes are on these athletes than ever before. Cardoso's statement becomes 10 times more significant in this environment. Even the video that predicted backlash from Reese's supporters was underplaying the reality. As fans took sides, the controversy exploded, and the tweet was shared thousands of times within hours.
I know. If Sony Citron decided to choose Angel, okay, like, there would be equally as much backlash. So, not trying to argue that it's not two sides of the same coin, although one of the arguments is just an obvious one, and the other argument is very hard to make good.
In the biggest women's basketball spotlight, Cardoso shifted from teammate to solo voice with her resolute declaration. Even if it risks causing tension in the locker room, she prioritized honest evaluation over team politics. This forces a new way of thinking about the Cardoso-Ree dynamic moving forward. Their unity can no longer be taken for granted. By placing candor above loyalty, Cardoso made the boldest and most transparent choice. And now, all eyes will be on their future interactions for signs of fallout.
Don't come for me, but there has been a few times in the last year that Caitlin and Kamilla have said in interviews that made me think at some point in their careers they may play together.